Man goes to a lumber yard and asks as nicely as he can, "Hey, hello, is there a foreman I could speak with, please?" He's led to the foreman. A conversation ensues. "Hello, my name is Larry, and I know more about lumber than anyone who works for you, and I need a job." The foreman, whose name is Pete, says, "Larry, pleasure." "Good luck to you, Larry. I've got things to do." Larry says, "No, sir, I beg of you. I know more about lumber. In fact, you could blindfold me, put a piece of lumber in front of me, and just by sniffing it, I can tell you where it was grown, what time of year it was cut." Pete, having no choice, really, says, "Larry, my good man, if you can in fact do that, you have a job. Come with me." They go inside the mill. Larry's positioned in front of a conveyor belt. Pete gives the signal, and a piece of lumber comes marching as they do towards Larry. Larry, blindfolded at this point, leans over the wood when instructed by Pete, gives it a quick sniff, and says, blinded to the visual in front of him, if not all visuals at that point, he's blindfolded. He sniffs the wood, unable to see, and says, "Douglas fir, Santa Cruz Mountains, early July." Pete says, "Holy good Christ, Lawrence, I'm impressed beyond belief. Can you do it again?" Larry, loving life at this point, says, "Please, Pete, as many times as you like." Pete signals another piece of lumber follows the first. Larry, again blindfolded, leans over the lumber and sniffs. And then he says, "Sequoia National, Redwood, October 12th. Pete shits himself on the spot, says, "No, this isn't possible. Could you do it one more?" "Pete," Larry says, "please. I made it clear as many times as you..." "No, just once more, Larry." Pete rushes off to his office, to his 55-year-old secretary, Gladys, and says, "Gladys, please, if you will, your panties." "Excuse me," Gladys says. Pete says, "I'm not going to ask again. Your panties, please." She drops her drawers. Pete scoops them up and goes back out to the lumber mill, where he places them on the conveyor belt. Remember, Lawrence, still blindfolded. "Dr. Chen, make sure that doesn't happen again, please. Bolt that fucking door." Meanwhile, back at the lumber mill, Pete says to Larry, "All right, Larry, one last time." Larry, blindfolded, bends over the wood. Then this time, of course, it's panties. Larry doesn't know. Gives it a sniff. "Aha. I see you're trying to fool me, trick me, if you will, Pete. I won't have it. I'm on this one. That, my friend, is the washroom door off an old tuna boat." Welcome back to Kevin Pollak's Chat Show. I am, as always, Chat Show. Are you having a swinging Labor Day? In case you're watching us on here this day, September 5th, Sunday, or maybe after the fact, but just know that this is all going up on the Labor Day weekend. So if you're watching us in our regular time slot, Your computer was not buffering. I want to thank Brian Tyler for the beautiful opening theme song. Never get tired of hearing it. Jeremy Shelton for those fabulous spinning credits. You know, it's amazing. Almost a year ago, it seems, I'll be corrected by someone. A fan of the show emails, hey, your opening titles really suck. Can I make one for you? We said, wow, sure. And there you have it. Pretty nifty. Jeremy R. Scott, who throws up the site, should be you be watching from kevinpollackschatshow.com. Perhaps you're watching on the thisweekend.com network. If you are, please stay tuned to This Week in Comedy, hosted by Ed Krasnick, followed by This Week in Movies, who my pal Penelope Ann Miller was a guest on last week, This Week in Movies, and I didn't even know. I enjoyed watching that. Sammy!
Hey, Capo!
How are you, buddy boy?
Fantastic. How about yourself?
Not too bad. You had a big weekend last weekend. You had a big Sunday night when
I did have a big
lot of
Sunday
people
night.
were pretending to care about the Emmys. Mm-hmm. You scoffed and went off to a very important big-time show.
It wasn't that I scoffed. It's that once again
You had a better invite.
I had been shunned, and my fine guest starring work on Kelsey Grammer's canceled show Hank, inexplicably not nominated
Right.
for best guest actor again.
My sister thought you did excellent.
Thank you. Thank you very
Jacqueline
much.
Fox watched that episode. Said
So-
I saw Sam. Did a good job.
So,
She
so
doesn't-
that's why I didn't want anything to do with the Emmys this Sunday.
And I don't blame you, sir.
Thank you. But I tell you what I did do was Mr. Quentin Tarantino.
I'm sorry you dropped that right by your foot.
Oh, let me pick that up. Mr. Quentin Tarantino,
Or Q.
or QT, there's this club downtown here in Los Angeles called the Bordello Bar.
I'm sorry?
Yep. And apparently once a month they do this burlesque-themed show all about Quentin and his movies and everything.
Wait a minute. Every week they do a
once a
Quentin
month.
Tarant-
They do it weekly, but once a month.
every fourth show
Every
they
fourth
theme
show,
it
they theme it for Quentin.
based on the music, based on the
Yeah,
style
based
of
on the music,
clothing that they're
the
soon to
movies,
take
the
off.
characters, yeah. And Quentin finds out about this. This has been going on for years. Finds out, he says, hey, we'd love to come see the show. We're like, oh, it's a
They
really
shit
small,
themselves.
it's a small venue where we're flattered, but we don't know how to handle this. He says, oh, don't worry, we'll just buy out the whole club. So that's what happened this Sunday.
I'm sorry. So these knuckleheads decided to theme one of their monthly shows
Yes,
on one of the more celebrated filmmakers of his generation,
indeed.
who made my favorite film last year. And they themed the show after him without asking permission. He finds out about it,
Yeah.
calls up and says, hey, I'd like to see the show. Their
Yeah.
response is, we have regulars we can't handle.
I don't know that that's quite their response. I think it was more of a dumbfounded, like, oh, we want to accommodate, but we don't know how. It was more of that, and they said, relax, don't.
You don't need to
worry.
defend these morons.
Well,
They're
that was a
idiots.
good show. It was a good show, is the thing.
Uh-huh.
So I'm on their side.
Are you?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, I'm not. And until they have a Kevin Pollak night, I don't want to hear about
Oh.
these people ever again.
What was your character's name from the whole 10 Yards? Which was the Gogolak brother?
Well, it was if the whole 10 yards would be Laszlo,
Laszlo
the 75-year-old.
Yanni Gogolak, everyone knows. I want Laszlo Gogolak themed burlesque.
Laszlo would like it very much. My tribute to William Hickey. Well, thank you, Sammy.
My pleasure, thank you, and thank the fine people at the Bordello Bar and the Quentin Tarantino.
So you had a good time,
I had a great time.
is what you're saying.
Yeah.
How many other cast members from Inglourious Bastards were there?
I believe we were represented, just the three of us. It was me and B.J. Novak and Omar Doom.
Aha.
Yep.
The Three Wise Men.
Three wise men. Well, Eli would have been there, but he's overseas with his Last Exorcism movie. So.
Yeah, I thought he directed that until I found out not so much.
No.
Just produced it.
It was produced.
Yeah, I see him on talk shows talking about it.
Well, you know, he's.
Why not go ahead and put the filmmaker on?
Because Eli's
take umbrage.
He's a famous face.
I see.
Judd Apatow goes on to promote movies he only produces these days.
Uh-huh.
You know.
That's a good comparison.
Well, actually, here, try this one. Eli's also an actor.
Yeah,
People know him from the Bastards film
as the Jew Bear.
as the Bear Jew.
Or Bear Jew, depending on if you remember things
Bear Jew or
correctly.
Jew Bear?
It's definitely Bear Jew, but I think Jew Bear is a very different thing.
That was a nickname I gave to a stuffed animal as a child. Uh-huh. All right, Sammy, nice to hear it.
Yeah.
As a lot of you know, I've been on the Twitter announcing and offering up free copies of the DVD, which comes out September 7th, now a couple of days away. of my latest 1-hour stand-up comedy special that aired all August on the Showtime network. The DVD, as the special, is called The Littlest Suspect, and I've been given some promotional copies, a few of which I'm trying to give away on Twitter. We have a winner for this week's, do we? Don't we? We might. I'm going to come back to it. I'm going to ask the geniuses in the other room to look up the Twitter feed and pick one at random, because I don't see it in my notes, so I have failed. Let's move on quickly to the Mosey.com winner, shall we? Because we have that one ready to go, all loaded up. The other contests we're giving, we love to give things away here, and one of our sponsors, Mosey.com, was offering up a subscription, a free subscription, and our winner this week is at Jake Bacon, one of the great names in history. Jake Bacon. Hold for Jake Bacon. I'm sorry, who are you holding for?
Duh.
Let me get Jake Bacon. So, congratulations at Jake Bacon, if that is in fact your real name. And now, it's time for Ask Kevin.
Ask Kevin.
Ask Kevin, where we answer your questions. If you would like to have us answer your questions, by the way, just go to contacts@kevinpollackschatshow.com. Ask a damn question, and I'll see if I can answer. This one comes from at tgrove80. Finally had a chance to see your Showtime special. Loved it. Is the DVD longer than 1 hour? Really? Is it 1 hour not enough for you? You want the more than that? I don't think it was 1 hour on Showtime. The DVD is longer, I can guarantee you that, because there are special features, one of which is the cold opening that I shot, which Showtime, for some reason, decided not to include. I hope this finds its way to someone at Showtime. So there's your answer. It is, in fact, longer than the television version. Get yourself a copy, pre-order now on Amazon. I'm done talking about it. This one is from at Chase3. Love the show. I discovered it myself and cannot get enough of the latest shows. What is Jamie's story? Hey, get your own. Jamie?
What's my story?
What's your story?
I grew up in Ambridge, Pennsylvania. It's in Harmony Township, right outside of Pittsburgh.
Uh-huh.
I went to Ambridge Area High School. I was voted class clown of the graduating class of 2000. That makes me 28. I don't know that's my story. What do they want to know? Jim Fox is my father.
Right.
Julia Fox.
One of my
is
best
mother.
impressions.
Jim Fox is one of your best impressions.
All right, now we're going to do a little cut here. Josh Negrin, one of our producers, will do a little edit for the iTunes version. And now, Sam, I want you to pretend to be sleeping.
Yep.
Jimmy the same, and then I will do the same.
You asked me a question.
And then you just-
Sam tells his Tarantino stories, and I get nothing. I could
No.
tell Larry David's story. Ooh, dropped it. You want to tell Larry David's story?
I thought your story was delightful. I was actually trying to make fun of the jerk who asked, hey, what's Jamie's story? Her story, fuckface, is that she and I lived together,
With Edie,
and again, get your
cat.
own,
Don't forget about
with
Edie.
Edie, everyone's favorite cat.
I was riveted by that story.
This
by the
last,
way.
thank you, Sammy. This
You're
last
welcome.
Ask Kevin question is from at OHECORama. I had no idea that Neil Patrick Harris was so compelling that he helped catapult you to number 3 spot. What did you guys do together? I'm not sure where to begin. We had sex. We were at number 1. And yes, he did absolutely catapult us to that place, that lofty perch. And we hope to maintain it in the coming weeks. Thanks for asking, Kevin. Alrighty. And I'm not sure my guest was made aware of a little game he's going to be pressured to participate in at the end of the show called the Larry King Game. So I'm going to offer up an example from this week's winner. Ken Campbell offered up this one and I laughed. I laughed out loud. It went like this. I love eating asparagus. When I pee, it reminds me of that weekend with Angie Dickinson. Idler's Glory, North Carolina. You're on the line. At Ken Campbell. Thank you for that one. And look forward to a T-shirt. And I offered up that one so that our guest would know what he's in for later. And lastly, but potentially most importantly, that sponsor we spoke of, Mosey.com. It's time for me to do their little ad because they're kind enough to sponsor the show. And so we roll. Mosey.com. With Mosey, you can be sure your digital life will always be there when you need it. Online backup service with more than 1 million customers, backing up more than 25 petabytes of information. Back up your critical data, protect your personal files. 2 offerings. One for home use, stuff like photos, videos, musics, or business. Includes administrative features and 24-hour customer care and support. Set it up once, then think about it never again. Unlimited online backup plans start at $4.95 a month. Enter promo code Kevin at checkout, and guess what? You're going to get 15% off your purchase, your initial purchase. I'm just saying. Mosey.com. They know how to sponsor a chat show. Hey, guess what we have? A couple of Littlest Suspect winners. They are... Is that 4 or how many is that? 4. That's 4. At Hawkeye 56572, because there's going to be more than one of those. LA Bunny WTF, Longfellow with an odd 0, and Steve 8282. Those are your 4 winners. I will DM you on Twitter and let you know personally. And give us your address, basically, is what separates... Oh, JCal, I forgot to mention. At Jason on Twitter is the 5th winner. Wait, I'm not falling for this. That's my partner. He just gets one. Apparently he thought he had to win one. He just gets one. All right, we put it off as long as we can. Now it's time for the damn show. This gentleman is not just one of the fine stand-up comedians touring this fine country of ours the last 20 years, but I've of course had his own special on the Comedy Central, which is not easy to come by. As many as you think you see on a regular basis, trust me, they are not easy to come by. But also found himself as the, what's called in the biz, warm-up comic for The Tonight Show, starring Conan O'Brien. Piece of history that we're all very aware of. Most importantly to me, perhaps, in terms of my recent awareness of this fine young man, is that he, while I sat here for a year and a half going on and on about the inner vision and cutting a new path with my own machete, this gentleman started out over 4 years ago with his own podcast at pardcast.com. Sign up for your subscription now. In fact, stop watching. PARDCAST.com. Pardcast. I'll wait. Hey, welcome back.
Now Mike's going to yell at you that
I gotta forget the rights.
The rights to that song.
Yeah, I think if you...
what are the rights to that?
You get 4 seconds now.
What was the song?
Exactly. Michael will have a Google answer up on that screen in 14 seconds. Anyways, Never Not Funny with Jimmy Pardo is one of the greatest things to happen to iTunes podcasts, and way ahead of the pack starting out over 4 years ago when I'm sure everyone around him said, I'm sorry? What are you doing? Did you quit show business? I'm unbelievably proud to have him here on the show to tell us his story. Please welcome Jimmy Pardo. Sir!
Hi. I don't think I could follow that build-up.
Well, that's the whole point of it.
You make me sound as important as...
Do you remember the old days of stand-up when you first starting out, and you would give your intro to the MC, and your intro was always way more impressive than your act was about to be?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I try to do on this show.
You had to try to convince the audience there's a guy that you're about to listen to
Don't
for
go
a
anywhere.
half hour.
Don't go anywhere.
Open for Rich Scheidner and Rick Overton.
Yeah, right.
My buddy Pat, one time, Pat Francis,
Sure.
did a gig. And he said to the MC, said, what's your intro? And he said, I don't care, just get my name right. And he said, please welcome Frank Kirkpatrick. You got everything wrong. You got every part of that wrong.
Was the guy fucking with him?
No. Nope.
Nope.
That's how bad he was at his job.
Do you remember?
I think it was one of those things where then he did the lie. You've seen him on Showtime and HBO.
Yeah.
Please welcome Frank Kirkpatrick.
Sure. Do you, fantastic. Do you remember your worst, I would call it, introduction, your least favorite, or your most bizarre, most ridiculous?
You know what?
Do you
one
have
happened just last week. I was up
Holy
in Portland,
crap.
Oregon. And
Helium.
Into Helium. And the young man who opened was a guy named Andy Wood, and he's a terrific young comedian. And he puts together that Bridgestone Comedy Festival. And so he introduced me with a very heartfelt intro. One of my favorite comedians, one of the best working today. We're lucky to have him. He recently worked at The Tonight Show as the opening act. Please welcome Jimmy Pardo. Conan Jimmy Pardo. Conan, like he was about to introduce Conan O'Brien, and then it's me, and then I have to come out and, that crowd got very disappointed. They thought maybe there was a guest set by Conan O'Brien.
And did you have any fun with that?
For 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Yes,
See,
of course I did.
This is what is pretty extraordinary about your stand-up act. Should people go to the same website to find out your touring schedule?
No, go to jimmypardo.com.
Why not?
Sure.
Why be such an idiot to go to podcast.com?
Right? I had edhelms.com for a short period of time.
I see.
It wasn't helpful.
No, not at all.
No.
Not for your dates.
Not at all, right?
Yeah. You'll go on stage and something will strike you, and that's what you'll talk about.
Yeah, why not, right?
45 minutes.
Nobody wants to hear my material. My material's okay, but, I'm funny.
Yeah.
I'm just funny, talking.
How long? Well, let's start.
Go.
Let's go.
This is your show. I'm
Let's go
excited
back
to be here.
Let's go back a couple of years. Born in Chicago.
That's right, South Side.
South Side. Around the age 8, you moved to the suburbs. The family moved to the promise of the suburbs, hometown.
We moved
Illinois.
to hometown Illinois. Yeah.
And at that point, you're 8 years old. Are you
Yes.
starting to get any sense of comedic influence?
It's the timing of that question is perfect because I just went back to my 30-year grade school reunion.
I'm sorry, didn't know they existed.
I know, neither did I.
Grade school reunion.
Some folks from this hometown that we speak of
Right.
is 1 mile by 1 mile. It was a town built for the Korean War veterans, and the houses were no more than like 700 square feet. They were really small.
And they only had 47 Korean War veterans? A mile by mile.
Not big.
Holy
And,
crap.
they didn't know how to come back into in country. So.
My father is a veteran, by the way, the Korean War.
I apologize as I salute all the soldiers. We were on 87th Street. North of 87th Street is the city of Chicago. South is hometown. So we were so close to the city, but yet
could
we could have
smell
been
it.
in the middle of Iowa. It was so small and Mayberry-like.
Wow.
There were like 25 people in my graduating class of 8th grade. So
Of course you had
the
a reunion.
idea of people saying, hey, let's get together for a reunion
Makes more
made
sense.
sense.
Yeah.
So like everybody wanted to see each other, I guess. Not everybody, only like maybe 15 of us showed up, but...
You can only get 60% of the
That's not
25.
It's not a bad percentage.
at all.
You don't know what those other people are up to.
Right.
I flew in from Los Angeles, big shot. Let
Sure.
them know I'm doing well. But I'm told I was really funny. And they gave me examples of me being funny.
When you were 8,
I kind of
9?
just sound like an asshole, to be honest. Like I sound like if somebody they described that I would borrow somebody's chapstick and then eat it.
Well, you were 8.
That's not funny.
Sure it is.
Is it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not a prop guy.
First of all, go easy on the 8-year-old. I think you're looking back on it as if you were 30
That's a
and
good
you
point.
should have known better.
That's a good. Well, I should have. I'm a sharp guy. I got a good sense of
You weren't
humor.
a sharp guy when you were 8. You were 8.
No, I was good.
You were busy being 8.
I made Paul Williams references. I was very sharp. I would impress with my Roddy McDowell impressions.
Sure.
At 8. That chapstick thing's embarrassing, and it's a pox on my career.
Is there any chance to get the Roddy McDowell impression?
I don't know. I don't do one. I don't do one. I just remember at 8, I was so into Planet of the Apes, 8 through probably 13, 14, that I would try to do Roddy McDowell.
The walk? Did you have the walk down?
I would do. I still do the walk. I still do the Cornelius and Zero walk down steps, and that entertains upwards of nobody. But I enjoy it.
Roddy's in one of my favorite guilty pleasure movies, Fright Night.
Fright Night gave me such a crazy feeling when Chris Sarandon seduces the young girl. I literally I got offended somehow. Like, you can't do that to that poor kid. Like I was I was kind of like nauseated by that.
But beautifully cheesy with the music and the smoke. And
I'm with you.
And then when the kid goes crazy, mouth this big. When the guy turns at
the young kid?
Yeah, the young boyfriend.
Who's dead now, right? Didn't he pass away?
Let's hope.
Ha! That's unfair. I think he died.
Well, that's the only reason I would say that.
Well, he's got family.
Well, then they should find me. His mouth really in the movie turns into I think it was his, not hers, that goes Crazy Town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Anyway,
a nice movie, Fright Night.
and Roddy McDowall also in one of my favorite episodes of the Twilight Zone, where he's the astronaut, goes down to the planet, and they show him his house that they built for him.
People are alike all over.
Thank you, Jamie. People are alike.
You could like
all
vaguely
over.
reference the Twilight Zone, and I will know the
What
name.
is your story?
That's my story.
Ambridge.
You know, my father-in-law was in a Twilight Zone, if I'm not mistaken.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, let's discuss that then. Damn it.
I apologize if I jumped ahead of
No.
the...
Do you know the episode well? Because we're
don't.
huge. Jesus.
I don't.
You're just going to throw it out there.
Yeah, I apologize. This is about me and not my father-in-law, and I should have thought about it. At any rate, you mentioned Twilight Zone. He was in it.
Walter Koenig, is that
Koenig.
Koenig. And we mostly know him, of course, from Star Trek, but he did other things, one of which was the Twilight
He was on
Zone.
Twilight Zone. I think he did all those
Must have.
black and white. You know, there was like 8 actors in Hollywood, and they all rotated through.
Well, it was like, getting a guest star on one of the 700 Law and Orders.
Right.
At this point.
Yeah.
You know, it's at some point it becomes jury duty for actors.
If
but-
you're in New York, I was never asked to be on Law. Were you on Law and Order?
No, sir.
Are you upset by it? Or that guy? Who's this guy?
It's a point of pride
Yeah.
that I was not,
You're happy to have never been asked.
is what I'm saying.
That's how you're spinning it.
Well,
That
no,
boy-
I've been asked.
Wait, you did not turn down Law and Order. You
Absolutely.
did not turn down Law and Order.
Of course I did.
Really?
What's the matter with you?
You don't want to be a perp? You don't want to be somebody crazy?
I am a perp. I don't need Law and Order to validate
You don't want to put that. You don't want to get a payment for being a
my
perp.
perpness. Yeah,
I
I
think-
write myself a check on a weekly basis for being such a fantastic
bad idea,
perp. You know
right?
what I'm saying? Do you remember the Jim Carrey who wrote himself a check for $1 million and put it in his father's coffin or some story I remember happening? Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, I could do that too. It's never going to get cashed. I could write that check. That's not all that impressive, Jim.
So you have comedic influences.
I guess so. Yeah.
Early on. Mm-hmm. Do you remember whether Rickles factors in at all?
I
or was that a little later?
Well, I know John Carson did. Because I would stay up. That was the thing my mom and stepdad let me stay up to watch.
Let you.
Was Johnny Carson. You
At
know.
what age did that start, do you think? Teenager?
No. That was 8,
9, 10
between
years?
9 and 13. I remember being able to stay up to watch the monologue, and then it got to be late, which is really, except on Friday nights. On Friday nights, I got to watch the entire show.
Oh my God.
But
And how great of a joy was this for you?
it was the greatest thing in the world. And then I would go to school
Right.
and do his jokes.
Absolutely.
Because nobody else heard them, except for the teachers, and then they knew I was a thief, but the young kids had no idea, and they also didn't know who, Valerie Harper was.
So instead of
So-
saying, here's something I saw on The Tonight Show that the rest of you kids may not have seen.
Right.
You went ahead and tried to pass it on as your own.
I may have.
I see.
I may, and then if they called me out on it, or if a teacher said, "Oh, I saw that too," I go, "Yeah, that's what I showed." Then I would, probably spin out of control and try to backpedal, as I do to this day. I'm
Sure.
a thief. Yeah, and then we also watched, Saturday Night Live. Saturday Night Live was a big thing in my house, and then. I remember I went to bed when I was tired. Like somehow at 12, I was over Saturday Night Live. I was just
By 12.
I was done with it for some reason, and I went to bed one night.
Well, who was in the cast at that point?
It might have been the.
It's like the third
was
pass?
that maybe 1970.
The Dominion years? Gene Dominion?
Wasn't that 80, 81?
That was 80, 81, something
This
like
was
that.
prior to that. I think Belushi might have even still been on it. I mean, it was still.
He was only the first 5 years, I think.
It was within that, and I was.
You're still only not ready for primetime play.
Yeah, it
this year.
was, and I think I was a big Chevy guy. So when he left, I kind of lost a little bit of interest.
He was gone after the first year.
I lost interest quick.
I see.
I remember my mom coming in to my bedroom and waking me up and saying, "Hey, come and watch this new show." And I said, "I don't want to. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of Saturday Night Live." And she said, "This is better," and it was SCTV. And
I
so
thought it was Fridays.
How hip was your mom?
I know, it was not Fridays. Although we did watch Fridays too. My family was really into comedy, it turns out. So how hip was my mom and stepfather that they woke me up to say, "You got to come and see this." And I think the one I walked in
It
on
was on NBC after Saturday Night Live?
Yeah, so it came on at midnight in Chicago.
Holy
So like at
crap.
12:05, they
You're 12 years old.
Yeah.
Get up.
right.
You've got to see
You got to
it.
see this. Enough of that sleeping. Don't worry about the newspaper route in the morning. You got to see John Candy open and close a refrigerator door. Remember when he would do the Johnny LaRue. And so yeah, I was big into all that stuff.
Was there a chance that some of those people were Chicagoans? What do you call them?
Chicagoans.
Chicagoans.
Well, the Belushis grew up in the western suburbs.
Right. But they're mostly
the Murrays.
Canadian, obviously, in this.
On SCTV,
second-
yeah. Yeah, John Candy and Harold Ramis
Joe
at the time.
Flaherty.
Joe Flaherty.
Yeah.
Flaherty's from Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Joe Flaherty? I used to love that. How
I knew
used
they
to
weren't
announce
all
it.
Canadian. Martin Short, he was.
Marty was certainly part of that.
Still is Canadian, for my money.
Makes no sense.
So, and how did you did you sign off on the Second City?
On SCTV, I gave my approval to the family. I let them know I'm going to sleep between 10:30 and midnight during SNL. Wake me up for SCTV.
Did you tell them that?
No, I don't think I did. That'd be a weird nap. I'm going to take my nap now, guys. It's 10:30.
How long did you have the paper out?
Well, I had that from my brother and I shared it.
Just till last week?
I gave it up. My brother still does it. You know what's funny? Going back to this hometown and seeing how small it was, I shared this paper route with my brother because I thought it was too big. And going back and seeing the route we had, it couldn't have been more than 15 houses. But man, it seemed huge. It seemed
At
like
4 in the morning, it's still dark
right
out.
in Chicago, brutal cold
Freezing.
weather. Right? Forget it.
On a bike?
With a bicycle, except on Thursdays where you got your advertising supplements, what made it a thicker paper, and then you couldn't really handle that on your handlebars of the bike.
Not the Sunday paper? Was the
Sunday
third?
as well, but Thursday was also a thicker paper. Sunday you used the wagon.
I see.
Right. Bike every day, walk Thursday, wagon
Did you have to
Sunday.
go door to door to collect?
I did.
Now, see, this was the part that killed me when I was 11 and had the paper out. Going door to door.
Yeah.
And you were told by your supervisor or whatever, go during the dinner hour.
Right.
That way you're sure to catch them, and it's you'll get paid. Not realizing what my dad had been yelling about all these years.
Right.
It's a goddamn paper boy. Right? Nobody wants to be disturbed during dinner.
Right.
Maybe the worst time. Mm-hmm. Sure, you can catch them, but how about right after dinner?
Yeah, but right after dinner, isn't that...
Drinking and sleeping?
or primetime television, you're going to interrupt All in the Family, and that's even worse.
I see.
Right? Or Mannix. I don't know what your people were watching when you were 11.
My people.
Yeah, I'm with you. And then they would always get annoyed, and then they would always act like they were doing me a favor. They, whatever papers cost back then, like the subscription was, let's say $4.75 a month.
Exactly.
You get $5, a little something for you. Really, quarter? Really?
Yeah.
And
And looking for the Christmas bonus, were you?
Remember, I did love the Christmas bonus.
Right. They give you a bottle of scotch.
Sure, we'd get all hammered. We'd sit on that wagon on a Sunday, get all boozed up, read the supplements. Sure.
And were you encouraged as you got into high school to continue being Mr. Funny Pants?
I think so. I did a...
Like, were you a cut-up class clown kind of guy?
I was the guy, I always like to say I was the guy making fun of the class clown in high school.
You were that hip.
I let that guy do the heavy lifting.
You waited to judge.
And then you're right, exactly. I would then say one sarcastic comment, the place would go crazy, and then you just see that guy shrink into his seat. And
Let him be in the yearbook.
Right?
Idiot.
And he was. And that did infuriate me, though. He still was voted in our high school graduating class, funniest guy was this guy. And it was like, no, that's me, and I will prove it on a nightly basis on stage.
Right.
You will rue the day.
But first,
Yes.
at age 20, you found yourself off to Pasadena, as several of our guests recently having a stay at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts.
Which sounds so much more impressive than it actually is.
We have discovered that on this show.
Have you? Well,
yeah.
You had Paul Rudd on, right?
No curriculum whatsoever.
Well, no, that's not
Adam
true.
Scott said he had a 2.2 grade point average, and they said, come on!
You got it.
Come on!
I will tell you this, too. When I auditioned, I did a scene from, it's an Arthur Miller play, not my three sons, all my sons.
Sure.
I did a scene from there as my monologue to audition for the American Academy, and they insisted that you read the play. Don't come in here just with the monologue. You better know the play. We're going to ask you questions. And the guy said, I did the monologue. He goes, you read the play? I go, no, I didn't. He goes, welcome to the school. It so didn't matter. It's so, and you don't know that until you get there. They just wanted your money. They just want your money.
Yeah, he asked you the question.
Yeah.
Fulfilling his job responsibilities and duties, and you said no.
And I go, no, you know what, sir? And then I'm sure my heart was pounding. You know what, sir? To be honest, I didn't. Because I was afraid that he would have said, it's obvious you didn't based on the way you just delivered that monologue.
Well, we appreciate your honesty. Come on in.
Exactly. Instead of it, you just, no, good enough. Come on.
But as much as I was also impressed by Adam Scott loading up the car, in his case at 18, still at 20, I'm guessing the first time away from home in such a capacity?
Yeah, I loaded up my Pontiac Fiero, which is a
Sure.
two-seater and doesn't have a trunk that you can barely fit a set of golf clubs in. So I loaded that up,
Right.
and drove out here with a buddy named Dave, and we stopped along the way. And I remember when I drove Dave to LAX for him to go back to Chicago. It must have been 3 a.m. Chicago time. Called my mom from the airport, crying like a baby because I was all alone, not a single,
Sure.
No, I mean, no friends.
20
nothing.
years old, you didn't know anyone.
Nobody, not one person.
This is the thing that I was fascinated by, and I'm not sure I got a satisfactory answer from Adam Scott. So I'm going to press you, sir,
Okay.
until I get one.
I'm going to give you my answer. I cannot give you Adam Scott's answer.
I only want Adam Scott's.
Well, then, you know what? Give me a minute.
I'm shit out of luck again.
Yes, I apologize.
The idea of moving just from San Francisco, a 7-hour drive in most cases, or 3.5 in Sam's.
Woo. Idiot.
Exactly. So intimidating to move down here from San Francisco. Also, it was in our DNA, growing up there, that you only went to Los Angeles to sell out. If you want to be an artist, stay in San Francisco.
Okay.
Obviously, total horseshit. But to travel across country, in your case, and having no friends, no acquaintances. I
Right.
mean, I didn't move here until I had at least a half dozen other stand-ups that I knew I could pal around with.
Mm-hmm.
I am really, honestly, just... is it just the foolishness of youth, do you think? The sort of...
Well, I was starting this school, so I think that kind of...
But still, you pursued this school, whether you knew there was a curriculum or not. You know what I mean? You made the decision on your own. I read about this school, I researched it or not.
Right.
It's in Pasadena. That's got to be better weather than here. Whatever the hell got you there,
Yeah.
you still said, I'm loading up the thing. Honey, I'm out of here. And by honey, I've been talking to the dog.
Yeah, I'm allergic to dogs. I should tell you that in advance. I said goodbye to the cat.
I just think it's gutsy crazy.
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah.
I just spit on you. There's something the size of a grape. You know what? In looking at the time, it didn't. Again, until I started bawling my eyes out at the airport that night, it didn't seem that crazy to me because I thought this is what other kids went off to college.
It also isn't real till you're there.
It's not real. And so I had my 10-speed bike, which I rode every day for hours. And I read. You know what I read every
Schwinn,
night?
Huffy, what'd you have?
A Raleigh. Had a Raleigh.
Raleigh, nice.
Yeah. I read the guy that wrote Fletch. I forget his McDonald. Is that his name?
Yeah, sure.
I read all those. Fletch and the Widow, this and Fletch. They were like $2.25 each, and I would read it, and I would read one every 2 days, and I would just kept reading these books because I was so lonely. I would sit in my little, I rented a house in this old lady's house. I rented a room rather in her old lady's house.
Tell us about that a little bit.
Her name.
This sounds like the 40s.
It was this woman. I wish I could remember her name.
In
She was
Pasadena?
a sweet old lady. She was a little old lady from Pasadena. It was actually
Gladys?
no, Phyllis or Faye. Boy, was she a nice lady. And she rented out these rooms to students from the school.
Faye was the correct answer, by the way.
Oh, is that right? Thank you so much. Do I get any sort of thing? Do I get a free DVD?
No, actually, you didn't say just Faye. You were around it.
I apologize.
To Faye.
This, was a room. It was a bedroom in this big house up in.
Did you read about it in
They had a posting at the school of rooms for rent or people that need roommates, that sort of thing.
You didn't know where you were staying when you got here?
No, we stayed in a hotel. Dave and I stayed in a hotel for a couple days until we got this room. And I hit a dog on the way there because I was so afraid. I was supposed to meet this woman at noon, and driving there, I was like, oh, it's 2 minutes to noon. She's going to give the room away if I'm not there at noon. And a dog darted out in front of my Fiero. I hit it. So now I got to slow down for that. It's fine. Get the room. $300 a month.
I'm sorry.
What's up?
You you hit the dog, slowed down, and said it's fine?
It ran away.
I see.
It ran
hobbled away?
What? What'd you say?
Hobbled away?
Nope.
No, ran?
I'm going to change history. It ran. Sprinted. It ran faster than I've ever seen this dog run. That's how fast this thing ran away. Probably to a vet. But then my heart was pounding. Now I'm signing the lease. My heart's, so like that was my third day in LA in Pasadena. And then there were some other students there who I was not necessarily friendly with, but I knew them. A young lady named Marta. And but it was, it was lonely. And then I got a job at a record store at Warehouse Records, and so that at least gave me something to do. And then school finally started. I moved out here a month before school started. And
Right.
then school started, and then I had that. And
What did your friends back home think about this crazy move?
I think they thought it was, yeah, of course he's doing that.
Yeah.
Of course he's going
You're
to the
gonna
American
be in
Academy.
show business. Yeah. But before you knew what a potential Hustler's Cove
Right.
this institution is,
Yeah.
you made a decision to study the dramatic arts. In some part of your mind?
Well, because I had done theater in school, and
What kind of theater were we doing?
well,
in
we
school?
did, all the
All the Henry
musicals,
Miller.
Anything Goes, Bye Bye
Godspell?
Birdie. We did not do Godspell. I think they did Godspell the year before I got to the school.
Bye Bye Birdie, and you played the role of.
I always played the role of the non-singing humor comic relief. I was Randolph McAfee in Bye Bye Birdie. I was the young.
Paul Lynn.
Nope, that's the father. I was the
Who's Randolph?
8-year-old boy.
Oh.
Is who I played.
Of course.
Because I'm 5'4". So what was I in high school? 2'11". So I was able to play the child.
Yeah. Wasn't it always fun being the first kid in the class photo? Boy, I love that. I never got tired of that.
Sure, you didn't.
Fucking
right?
hated it.
That's why we're comics, right?
Yeah.
Again, to
Yeah.
put that in their face.
Yeah,
I
you
would've-
either become a dictator and destroy people, and
Or-
if not civilizations, or you become a
You
stand-up.
talk about your dick on stage for a little.
I see.
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I'd done theater.
So Second City was not an option?
I did. I studied Second City right out of high school. I went to Second City, Players Workshop of Second City.
You said, enough with this. I need dramatic training.
I kind of used that as a springboard to this is Hollywood. I'm moving to Hollywood to be an actor. So what better way than to take school or take classes?
Because to me, only in retrospect, given what your talent has become,
Yes.
Second City is the place for you.
And when I went to the academy, I only went 1 year. I was not asked back the second year. I did not get along with the teachers. Everybody else in class, there was a couple guys in their 30s who were doing it because they were going through a crisis. But everybody else basically graduated high school in May or June, and then in August they were here, and they all had, I'm going to be an actor, ma. They're 18, 17 years old, listening to every word the teacher said, and I questioned things, and I was an asshole.
Whoa.
I was a 20-year-old kid guy who had lived some life after high school, so I, in my head, thought I was a man.
Right.
So I questioned everything, and so when it came time for them to say who's coming back for the second year, it was kind of they agreed, and I agreed that I would not return.
They got tired of being questioned.
Basically, and they probably got tired of this sarcastic jagoff. You know what I mean? So
That is a very Chicago term.
Jagoff?
That I love to this day.
I love it as well.
Yeah.
So the young man, the guy Byrne, I'll never get his last name, but his first name was Byrne.
Faye.
Byrne Fay, a terrific instructor.
Also the name of the dog, by the way. Faye.
They gave you in the letter of saying you are not welcome back. They said, and do not come in and question why you're not asked back.
We've had it with the questioning.
Take some time before you come in. And I called my dad and I go, yeah, Dad, I'm not going back to the second year. He goes, why? And I go, I don't know. And he goes, well, go in there and ask him. Well, now I'm afraid to go back and give my dad no answer. Like, well, they don't want us to go. So I went and asked, and I said, I know you don't want us to come here. And he goes,
When you say us, did you have a puppet?
us in general. Yes, I was not Skip Stevenson. I was Jay Johnson. I
Same
went
era.
in, I said, I understand you don't want the students to come in and question why. And he said, we don't ask you, we insist you don't come in and ask. And I said, I don't go to school anymore, so you can't tell me what to do. Why am I not coming back here? And the guy nobody's ever stood up for me before. And, rattles his papers. And every note would be better served taking improv classes, would be better served trying a career in stand-up comedy. Like everything was very complimentary.
Wow.
But they didn't want me there.
The notes they were taking.
Everything was like this. He's not untalented. He's just not right for this school. He should be pursuing comedy.
He knows more than we do.
Or I thought I did.
Right.
I was.
Oh, we all do.
Yeah.
Especially at that age.
Right. 20.
Yeah. You're fearless and full of it.
Right. I remember my dad actually when I was 20 saying to his wife at the time, I said something sarcastic, and she goes, "I don't get what that means." And my dad said, "My son's at an age where everything's funny."
Nice.
And it was like, what a great way to describe a 20-year-old a-hole, right? Like, because everything's got to be made fun of.
Right.
You're better than everything.
Yeah.
And it was great.
the part of the story that I couldn't find in your dossier
Yes.
is what led to Kiss My Ass show business in Hollywood. I'm going back home to pursue stand-up comedy.
I just,
The dramatic arts at this alleged important institution.
they pass on me. I'm not coming back in the fall. And I went back. I started doing stand-up right before I got the job at MCA Records. And I was doing open microphones. And then I got the job at MCA, still doing some open mics. And then I met another guy. A guy named Tony Boswell.
And there were how many clubs in Chicago?
Oh, my God.
Because
At
it blows
that
my
time,
mind
36
that there
probably.
are none
Now.
other than Zanies, which to me, if there's 7 people in the audience, what's the fucking point? I don't understand in this town
They love Second City.
with a thriving.
They love Chicago. Chicago is a football town, a Cubs town, and Second City town. Stand-up, you don't know a lot of famous stand-ups from Chicago, but you know John Belushi, you know Bill Murray, Dana Aykroyd.
So they simply won't support it?
They don't really.
Did you say Dan Aykroyd?
I did for humor.
God bless.
But in the late '80s, when I started, there had to be 36 comedy clubs. I mean, there were.
Yeah.
I
Well, that was
went
the
18
boom.
months without leaving. I think I left once.
Yeah, you moved back there in the
At the boom of
rush,
comedy.
the gold rush.
I mean, I remember like Rich Scheidner, who I mentioned earlier, he was working at the funny firm, making $7,500 a week.
Yeah.
And who the hell at the time? Who the hell is Rich Scheidner?
They didn't know.
And he's making $7,500, and I'm opening for him in my head, going, "It's 6 months until I'm making that kind of dough." And,
And it
that
actually-
never has happened.
Well, one of the things in your dossier is how quickly you moved up the ranks.
I did.
From MC to...
Because of my improv skills, and I was, not because of my material. It was, I was able to host very well. They, especially at that time, they really wanted, ask who's having a birthday, ask who's celebrating. So I was able to be a sarcastic, jag-off to these people. So I was really funny out of the box, and then here comes the material, which is talking about the plastic on my grandmother's couch because she's Italian, which we heard it back in 1947, but I thought it was funny. But if I would, I do all this, who's celebrating anything, and I would be really great, and then, wow, the middle act's having a tough time following him, and then they put me in the middle, and probably did okay, and then I started headlining probably way too soon.
Were you still in Chicago when the Improv went up?
Sure, yeah, sure.
An actress's father, I want
It
to
was,
say.
Walter Gertz.
Walter
Jamie
Gertz.
Gertz's father.
Yes.
Jamie, this is a quick side story. Jamie and I, in high school, competed against each other on speech team.
Is that right?
And every week, Jamie and her partner would win. They did some scene from something called Lemonade, and it was Lemonade! And so whenever
Still
we
haunts
see
you.
it does. So whenever I see Jamie Gertz, I still go Lemonade, and they would win. My partner Michelle Conderso and I every week would. 1 week they didn't. Jamie and her partner didn't show up, and we won.
By doing Lemonade.
Certainly, it's a proven.
She wasn't there. You're not stupid.
Right, it's certainly not the talent; it's the scene. They didn't show up, so we finally won one. But then, Jamie. Then I reminded Jamie of that at the at the Improv's grand opening,
Right.
and she had little to no interest in my story.
You were there at the Improv's grand opening?
Some opening. It may not have been the grand opening.
Because you know who performed at that club's grand opening? Yours truly.
Yes, give me a minute. Give me a minute, because this is fun. I'm going to say Faye was the opener. Then I'm going to say the headliner was a little Faye. That's what I'm going to say. That's,
All true.
That speeds
Way to bring it all together.
I was not there then for that.
Clearly.
Because I would have remembered.
But I am surprised we didn't somehow work together.
Ever. Right? That's pretty interesting.
Yeah. When you were moving your way up the ranks.
I didn't really work the Improv very often. The guy that booked it did not, at the time, a guy named Steve, was not a big Jimmy Pardo fan.
So, well, fuck him. And how long did you thrive and then feel maybe too comfortable before taking on Los Angeles the second time?
I started doing first paid gig in '89, and then in '94, Eric Fagan. Do you remember Eric Fagan from the Improv here in Los Angeles?
I'm going to say yes.
He was working for CBS, freelancing, being a talent scout. He saw me in Detroit, thought I was great. Put me on another showcase in Chicago, thought I was great. This is maybe summer of '94, summer '94. And then he called me up and said, I'm going to start managing a couple of guys. I'd like you to move out here and be one of the guys I manage.
Wow.
January of '95, I moved out. A month later, he had a nervous breakdown, quit the business. So I'm once again out here with nothing, except my friend Paul Gilmartin and my roommate Pat Francis.
Are you going to take any of the responsibility?
For him having a nervous breakdown? Oh yeah, he realized, boy, this guy's green and nobody's interested, and I made a mistake hitching my wagon to him. No, I will take no responsibility. It's his fault. He made the mistake, not me.
I see.
I just said yes and moved cross country a second time.
Right. But this time you had a couple of friends.
I had my friend Paul Gilmartin and his beautiful wife Carla. They let me sleep in their on a cot or whatever.
An old
yeah,
army
they were in a
cot?
hospice. Or a hostel. Hospice. Yeah, they got some patients in there too. There's some people not feeling well.
They thought he's dying on stage.
Right, this guy's not. Right, he's got his last legs. Put him in there. Hiccup an IV. Let's take care of business.
Usually it's me that puts in the wrong word. So it's nice to see someone else do it just fucking once.
Right.
All right, so there you are at the hospice.
Yes.
And,
So I was there. Then I.
Your manager, literally, how long was he your manager before he said no thanks?
Maximum a month.
Okay. So once again,
Yeah.
I mean, you have some friends. And
Yes.
You have a cot at a hostel.
I also had a friend in booze.
And booze.
Yeah, sure.
I see.
At that time.
Made good buddies, did you?
Yes,
All
I
right.
would spend while everybody else was out enjoying the showcase clubs in town or the open mics. I would. I'm a headliner, man. I'm a headliner. I don't have time for open mics. Glug, glug, glug. I then wake up at 3 the next day. You know, I did a lot of that.
Sure.
Did a lot of that while my peers were hitting the open mics around town. And
Right.
in retrospect, that was obviously a huge error on my part.
Well, I will tell you, having moved from San Francisco in my mid-20s to Los Angeles, having risen to the sort of top of the San Francisco stand-up comedy scene,
Right.
coming here to Los Angeles and sort of feeling like, well, this is going to be easy.
Right.
And it's the old going from junior high to high school. How about nobody cares, shut the fuck up,
Right.
and nobody cares.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then trying to get spots at the Improv, which you think is going to be, well, I'm headlining all over the country. Certainly I'm going to get spots. No, you're not.
Get back in line.
And then, you're starting new.
Get out of the aisles. I
Get out of the
believe.
aisles, if you had to quote Mr. Friedman.
Yeah.
And then I got very lucky. I moved out here in January and July of '95. Bruce Smith at Omnipop Talent Agency
sure.
Saw me and liked me and signed me. So I had an agent.
A month later?
Had a nervous breakdown. Quit the business. He is still my manager to this day. He's the
fantastic.
first guy to, other than Eric, he's the
Right.
first guy to believe in me, and I'm grateful that he did, because I probably would have given up. I probably would have moved back, and as a lot of guys do. But luckily, I hit with this guy and started auditioning for some things and didn't score anything for years, of course, but.
Well, you got to start.
Right.
You have to
But
start.
at least I was in the game.
I want to know what those initial auditions were, because you, of course, studied at the Dramatic Arts
Right.
Academy of. So you were ready for auditions. Had you been on many auditions in Chicago?
I auditioned for one movie called, I want to call White Fang was the name of the movie.
Sure.
I auditioned to play the kid who befriends the wolf.
And they found out that you killed a dog once?
That word got out. And believe it or not, that cast nervous breakdown with the business.
So you're out in LA and you're starting to audition.
My first audition was for an MTV game show, and I didn't know how to do it. And I remember sitting in the chair reading the copy, as opposed to getting up on your feet and
Sitting in the chair.
running the game. I sat there, welcome to the game. Oh, and also it said we are looking for a Sinbad type. And so I made the mistake of saying,
Coming in with a sword?
well, I don't believe it was that Sinbad. I believe it was that of the Zubaz pants or whatever those are called. What are those called?
Parachute pants?
No, the multicolored.
MC Hammer pants?
No,
Kenny, you should know that.
you're unhelpful, Sam.
I know.
Zubas. They were called Zubas, I think.
Zubas.
At any rate, those weightlifter pants. So Sinbad type, and so I said, "Hey, it says here you're looking for a Sinbad type." To be funny, I go, I can't be farther away. And she goes, "Yeah, we're going in a different direction." I go, "Oh, is that what you call it? Different direction?" Thinking I was being funny, and they're like, "What the fuck?" And so that was my first audition nightmare. And then I auditioned for some Showtime wraparound show. That I actually got down to me and the other guy, which is the history of my career. It's always me and the other guy,
Yeah.
and then, hey, they're going with the other guy.
Yeah. But I think that's actually one of the signs that you're about to have a career. I think you go through that. A lot of people I've talked to in life who have a career had that phase where it came down to you and the other. Dana Carvey, it was between him and Tom Holtz for Amadeus.
Is that
I mean,
right?
screen tests, just the two of them, neck and neck, toe to toe, yeah, all the way down to the wire. That's a part of you're in the game now.
Because what I know a little bit, I know that he did it entirely as the church lady.
Well,
So that's
that might have been
fascinating
a
that he
bad
got
call.
that close. You'd think they would. I mean, that's an interesting choice.
Isn't that special? Yeah. Question from @DivaMonkey. Questions coming in live from the Twitter universe.
Let's do it.
Or Twitterverse. Question for Jimmy Pardo. Have you ever had an audience member completely crack you up while you were performing your set?
Go on,
now, we were talking about working the audience. It's become not only your hook, but your place in the sun. It's where you're happiest. It's where you're most comfortable.
Absolutely.
It's where you can control and destroy for 45 minutes to an hour, improvising the entire set, which is re-fucking-markable. However, the question comes. It has to happen on occasion where an audience member actually makes you laugh.
Yeah, I'm embarrassed to say I don't remember what the gentleman said.
Faye?
Faye is always at my shows.
Yeah.
And it's uncomfortable. Some guy just this last week in Helium, as a matter of fact, some guy said something, and then I yelled at some other guy who didn't do anything wrong. I go, "That's how you do it. That's how you interact with me." And I forget what this young man said, but he did say something fun. Oh, then there was this guy. This guy did make me laugh. I said, and Sam Levine has been a victim of this because I don't understand the two M's and I mock those people. I said to this guy, I said, "What's your name?" He said, "Todd." I go, "Standard spelling on that, Todd, or you're one of these guys that drops the D for no reason?" He said, "It's Todd with one D. Good enough for God, good enough for Todd."
Oh, no. With no sense of irony?
And I went, I go, "You did not give yourself a tagline." And he goes, "Yes, I did." And the way he said, "Yes, I did," made me laugh. And there was just a joy in the room. Like, everybody was like, and there was also that joy of everybody going, "Here it comes. Pardo's going to unload on this guy." But I did, but with joy. You know what I mean? Like, he was happy about it.
Yeah.
And so that made me laugh.
Absolutely.
Every now and then somebody will make me laugh.
Right.
But, usually people are trying too hard to be funny, and then, that's a snooze. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll do the work. Just answer the question.
Just answer the question, damn it.
Right.
Another thing we like to involve the audience in here.
Yes, sir.
Is to offer up a rapid-fire round of 5 questions, Coke or Pepsi, no correct answer, just this or that
Go.
answer. We gave it a name. David Keckner gave it a little graphic. It's called Tweet 5.
T5, T5, T5 forever now. I need to point out that I did not know that hats were imperative. Now that I see Keckner wearing his hat, I did not know this
You
was
brought a hat.
I wore it for humor because you always wear a hat, so I thought it'd be funny if I walked in a hat. I did not know I was supposed to wear it on the air. I did not know that every guest wears a hat.
Unless you want your forehead to signal ships.
Ha! It does! I always saw how I have a very thick forest of hair, but a lot of beach to get to it.
And without that, we don't take Normandy. All right, this T5 comes to you from @Tika_Attica.
Okay, and do we both play this, or is it strictly me?
This is just you,
There
sir.
we go. I love it.
Pant or slack?
Oh, Pant.
Stanley or Simmons?
Stanley.
Ann Wilson or Steve Perry?
Steve Perry.
Uh-oh. J.W. Guercio or D. Foster?
Oh, James William Guercio.
Guercio. Wheels are turning or can't tuna fish?
Can't tuna fish.
And we're done. You did very well.
Wow, that person knows me.
Right?
That person knows me.
Explain how.
Those are the last one was REO Speedwagon albums, and Tuna Fish is a great album.
But they know that this is one of your favorite bands.
I like REO. I mean, I don't know if they're.
You're the one that said they know you, they know you, they know you.
Steve Perry is my favorite vocalist, other
Is
than
he?
Steve, other than Peter Cetera. What was the other one? I always say Pant or Slack. That's a toss-up. I panicked and said Pant. I think Slack is equally as funny. What was James William Guercio produced the first 11 Chicago albums. David Foster produced.
Yeah, you're the only
3
one
of
that knows
them.
that.
No, a lot of people know. He's very popular.
Now, do you love Chicago because of
The band?
Well,
Yeah.
I know you love them, but is the reason you love them because their name is where you're from?
I think I love them. My father was really into them, and then my second concert was at Chicago Fest in 1981, and I've just been enamored with them ever since.
So if they were called Detroit, you're fine with it.
Would have been fine.
I don't buy it.
I prefer they wouldn't be called Chicago, so that if I was to Google them, I didn't get a bunch of stuff about the city.
I see.
What was your first concert?
I'm uncomfortable with you talking. I'm talking to Mr. Pollak. My first concert was 1979. Judas Priest opening up for Kiss at the Chicago Amphitheater. Me, my brother, my cousin Ron, and my mom.
And your mom.
My mom.
Chaperoning?
Chaperoning.
Sure.
But sitting in a separate seat.
Don't get near me.
3 of us, and my mom was nice enough to sit on her own so that the 3 of us could enjoy the show.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Make an eye at the guy dressed with the makeup like
I
a
don't
cat?
know what her hustle was, but I do know she was into it.
I see.
I do know that when I was in the bathroom, my mom yelled in, "Jimmy, hurry up! They're starting to throw the toilet paper." So, like, she wanted to be part of the concert scene.
Mom sounds very playful.
My mom was great.
Yeah.
Is great.
Yeah.
Why, she's with us?
But my mom's crazy, and I've been saying it my entire life and having fun celebrating that she's absolutely crazy.
We're talking about Miss Pollak?
In a fun way. She's been Mrs. Harlow now, remarried for many, many years. But, so the question was, is Mom playful, gregarious, fun-loving when you're growing up and sort of...
I'm going to say yes. I enjoyed it. You know, you always
Because
heard,
I think it had something to do with inspiring me that my mom made it okay to be a little nutty.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I agree with. You know, a lot of people. I remember people in high school going, you know, talking about how their parents were a drag, and you know, I got to go do this. I was like, you know what? I kind of like hanging out with my mom. Not that I was a mama's boy or anything, but I enjoyed my mom, and I enjoyed my dad's company. I was never a guy that, like, as soon as you got to the mall, I got to dish mom. I kind of enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and
it does make a difference.
And they did embrace my.
Kenny, can you see if there's any way they can scream more just outside the studio? See if you
Jason
can.
Calcanis.
Well, let's hope. I got another Tweet 5 for you, buddy. Would you like? Would you like? Are you ready?
I like that first one.
All right.
T5, T5. Okay. I'll say no next time.
It's a tradition.
I love it.
This one from @Cockamamie.
Okay, go.
Suits, casual.
Suit.
Love Boat, Fantasy Island.
Love Boat.
Rainbow Bridge, Rainbow Connection.
Well, Rainbow Bridge.
Styx, Journey.
Journey.
Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel. You all right?
Carter? Is that a choice? I like both. You know what? I thought Fallon did a nice job on the Emmys. I'll say Fallon. That's unfair. That's an unfair question.
Well,
It's unfair. I think it's unfair when you know the people. You know what I mean? And you got to make a decision. You know, like Ann Wilson, Steve Perry. I don't know them.
we'll only send this to Fallon.
Thank you.
Yeah, we won't let Kimmel see it.
Thank
Yeah.
Thank heavens.
Tell me about the process of getting movies at our house. You did this for like 4 or 6 seasons. 6.
Oh boy, maybe 6.
Yeah.
Maybe 6. Yeah.
Kind of a sweet gig and
That was
kind of
a
a
great gig.
hosting thing that you're natural at.
I hosted with a young lady named Rachel Quaintance. We played husband and wife.
She won't do the show, so I don't want to talk about it.
Oh, she'll do it. She does I Love Anything on VH1. She's more than happy to be on camera. I love Rachel Quaintance to death. We were the first 2 to audition for this thing.
Really?
And they ended up, they tried to pair everybody up with different people, and they just kept coming back to Jimmy and Rachel, and then we got the gig, and it was, we got it down, when they canceled us, we got it down to a science where we were able to do these things in 2 hours. And
How many in 2 hours?
we would do one. We would just do,
I see.
they were a wraparound show for a movie, and
And how many in a season? I mean, I don't
oh boy,
It was on once a week?
yeah, it was on once a week for 13 weeks, I guess would be a season.
Right.
And
Because you did 6.
might have even done more than that. Now that I say 13 weeks a season, but that was just a sweet gig.
Right.
That was a sweet gig, and then they canceled us, and then they're doing crap now like Mad Men and Breaking Bad. You don't want Jimmy and Rachel introducing Jaws 3?
Yeah.
What's your problem?
They decided to win some Emmys.
Yeah.
Idiots.
Wah, wah.
But you're also doing guest stars on television shows.
I've done stuff like
and,
that.
And your dossier said you were in The Informant.
I was.
Is that in fact true?
I was. I was sitting. Nope, lie. I had already over rehearsed my 7 lines at home. Just kept on going over, as an actor.
Sure.
And I'm looking at him, so I went, I got to get away from this. I'm going to go to a movie. So I was driving to a movie, 7 p.m. at night, and cell phone rings. I don't recognize the number. I let it go to voicemail. Hey, Jimmy, it's, I'll make up a name, Rob Johnson, second AD over here at The Informant. Give me a call if you can. Need to talk to you. Don't make the trip. And, so then I called, I said, hey, it's Jimmy Pardo, and he said, they just did a rewrite, and we've written out your 2 scenes.
Aye.
And the truth is, these 2 scenes never would have made the movie. Like, even when you read the script, you're like, they don't need this.
Wow.
This is repetitive. These 2 scenes are repetitive. You
Right.
do not need these 2. So in the long run, they never would have made it anyway. But they still paid me for the 2 weeks of work I was supposed to have on it, or whatever the hell it was. And,
Holy crap.
And then I was, I received 1 residual, I think, and then they realized, hey, that fella, we didn't even shoot him. Let's cut that loose. So
Let's stop
I was
sending
never in The
checks.
Informant. I was cut out.
Because I love the movie, and they use so many
So many
comedians
comics,
that I
right?
couldn't keep track, and I didn't want to be a complete idiot by trying to say or even pretend I remembered your incredible work, because I thought, I love the movie, I don't remember him being in it, that's not me.
Here's another awkward.
That's the internet fucking up. Because I got all kinds of stuff on my IMDb that I know nothing about.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, my IMDb used to say that that Don Pardo is my father. So that's a guy not
What a
doing any
joy that
research.
is for you.
Oh, it is.
Now, I have a person who can, you should maybe get together at least a couple times a year to discuss the sheer joy of your name being a dominant factor in your life of unhappiness.
Who's this other person?
My better half, whose birth name is,
What's your birth name?
What?
your name?
Okay, what is going on? The other guy in the other room falls asleep. She can't be more than 6 feet from
She
me.
runs the chat room.
I'm on fire over here. This is an interesting interview.
She runs the chat room. If she doesn't keep an eye on the chat room, then the show doesn't proceed, because we have live questions coming towards you. I was sharing that the bane of his existence is people asking him his relation to Don Pardo. And I said there's somebody else that you should definitely get together with.
And yours is?
Twice a
Jamie
year.
Foxx.
Jamie Foxx.
With the two X's?
J-A-I-M-E-F-O-X.
Now, you know his real name is Eric Bishop.
I didn't know
So
that.
imagine this. You have a name your whole life. Someone decides to take it, make it their own, and then become famous beyond compare
Right.
with your name. So you guys every now and then should get together and just sort of...
Celebrate. We should have a day.
Now, how often do you recommend every day?
I said we should have a day.
Oh, a day. I thought you said every day. I'm like, all right. 4 to 4:30. We'll meet at the park by the Grove.
So this
That's local.
It's annoying. It's annoying as hell for
It's
you.
annoying. Now when people go, hey, I have a question, I always go, no. And
Yeah.
they go, do you know what I'm going to ask? You're going to ask if I'm related to Don Pardo? How'd you know? Because I hear it every second of my life.
Yeah.
And in fairness, I'm in show business. I've got
Were those rabbits just now?
Yes, I like to always occasionally put on a little show. Apparently, I have to entertain the staff. So as I'm talking, hey, look, everybody. It's not that crazy. If I was just a guy working at a record store, I could understand.
Right.
I would be like, why would you think that? But I understand it since I'm somewhat involved in Hollywood.
Did you, in fact, meet with the Soderbergh was the follow-up question in order to get hired
Yeah, I
on
did.
The Informant?
Yeah.
Tell me about that experience just a little bit, because he's one of my absolute favorite filmmakers.
You know what? Truth be told,
Brief.
I probably didn't think anything. I wasn't smart enough to realize what was happening. Like that. Oh boy, this is close now. I'm in here with the director, and I think I just treated it like another. There's the 3 women that had been in the room the other 2 times, and now there's a guy, and he was like, "Hey, what about this? What about this? Hey, that's really funny." And then,
well, one of the hardest things to get over, other than the massive, long, endless line of rejection that one can look forward to when starting out, is what to do in the room during the audition.
right?
Do you have something that you found works for you? I'm guessing as a great improviser, you go in knowing there's going to be something there that I'm going to have fun with.
I will not lie. I am so charming and funny. And then they go, well, let's give this a shot. And then you just see the look of disappointment come over their face.
I see.
It really is. It's like you see that they're rooting for me.
Right.
It's like, hey, look at this guy. Hey, Jake, son of a bitch, let's give it a try. And then, you just, and then, Well, thanks so much, Jimmy. Really good to see you. And then, like, they don't even have the enthusiasm you had when you weren't reading. Like, it's, hey, thanks, pal. And every now and then you hit a home run and you get the, in my case, smaller parts or whatever. But you know what it's like.
Yeah.
What would you do?
Well, the question is, when having all that fun and charming their pants off, do you ever say, "Let's not do the read"?
I don't have those balls. I probably do for humor.
Right.
There's
exactly.
no question. I'll go, well, we don't even have to do this, right? And then.
All right, for technicality's sake,
We'll
Jimmy,
see you
just
on the
go
set.
ahead and read that first
And
paragraph.
here's the thing, and you know this as an actor. If we did do that, and they said, you know what, you're right. Like if a Soderbergh would go, you know what, you're right, you're perfect, go. And then I would show up, I would be very good.
Yeah.
The audition is where I'm clunky and not so hot.
I actually think as a design, it's one of the worst designed rituals in any job. Worse than the job interview, because the job interview is at least someone going over your resume and asking you about particular jobs you've done in the past, not, so you want to work here at the lumber mill, you need to go ahead and start now in front of me.
Yeah, let's see how you can handle yourself.
And even worse so, as a designed to fail process, the audition. The emotions that you're feeling during the audition are in fact the photo opposite of the emotions that you will have once we've hired you and filled you with confidence.
Yeah.
That, by design, is absurd. We'd like to get you at your most self-doubt, self-hatred, self-sabotage, whatever your case may be. You don't have the job. We probably won't give it to you. Go.
Right.
As opposed to you. Let's see. We've hired you. Just have fun with it.
Just have fun.
Yeah.
Right? God. Right?
The worst.
How much better would this world be?
So when you direct, you've got to just hire people.
This world seems extreme. This would be so much a happier world if actors had it easier.
Let's talk a little bit, if you don't mind,
I'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. I'm
about
an open
how
book.
you launched the Pardcast.
Yes.
Never Not Funny.
Go.
Was it a matter of your tech-savvy co-host coming to you and saying,
Yes.
Okay.
I was doing a talk show at the UCB Theater in Los Angeles called Running Your Trap.
"Running a Trap"?
It was.
What year did you start that? That's not actually a year. It's not even a number.
I think you should hear it again because I said it very clearly. Let's call it 99? No, that's wrong.
Yeah, the theater wasn't open.
Sam.
Was it?
Correct answer is fake.
I'm trying to help you.
I know, yeah.
Jimmy.
But I did it at the M Bar before that. Let's call it
2002.
5 years ago. What's 5 years ago?
2005.
2005. So 2004, maybe.
Okay.
I started doing this talk show, Running Your Trap with Jimmy Pardo, where I interviewed comedians would do sets, and then they would come over and I would interview them after their set.
At the bar?
On a stage, over on the other side of the stage. And
So would you be sitting there during their act? Or you would wait till they finished?
week one, I sat on stage during their act, and then week two, we immediately moved over to the side.
Yeah.
And then when it went to the UCB and the show had to be truncated, it was just an interview. I'd bring people on and interview them and just basically rip off any talk show. And then this guy Matt Belknap, who runs a specialthing.com, he was a huge fan and said, "Hey, we should this thing called podcasting is happening. We should."
Who was doing a podcast 4 years ago?
Ricky Gervais.
Was it?
And
his wasn't really created for that purpose. It was a continuation of a radio show that he had done with Steve Merchant.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's when that all started with the lightning in a bottle beyond belief discovery of Carl Pilkington.
Yes.
What a historical moment in the history of show business that is. It all started on the radio show.
I didn't know that.
Is it XFM, Josh? Yeah, XFM in the London area there of your UK.
Sure, United Kingdom.
So yours didn't start as a radio show. He just said, "There's this thing called a podcast. Ricky Gervais does it. You could do it."
Right, and he was doing a serious one because podcasting at that time was all technical. Other than Gervais, everything was technical or
Yes.
or
Tech, about
yeah, like
about the internet.
about the internet, exactly. And he was doing one about he would interview comics, which he did me about the craft of comedy and a very serious.
Very dry.
Very dry, and I think he did a terrific job. But at the end of mine, he went, "Well, you know what? I think we'd have more fun if you hosted this,
because you'd be
and I could be
cut
your
up
producer, and we'll just kind of take Running Your Trap and make it this." And I said, "Okay, not so sure what that means." We talked about
had
it.
to have asked, coming from traditional media,
Say it again?
You had to have asked, coming from traditional media, well, how am I going to make money from this?
I didn't even do that. I just, I at the time, MySpace was huge.
Okay.
And I wasn't utilizing MySpace the way that other guys were, or utilizing any of the internet the way they were. So when he said to me, let's do this podcast, it was the first time ever that I went, you know what, I'm going to beat everybody. I'm going to, as I like to say at the time, I said, I want to follow by leading.
There you go.
Because I don't want to be 6 months from now and everybody going, how great is Patton Oswalt's podcast? And I'll be, damn it, why didn't I do that?
Right.
So I went, let's do it.
Yeah.
And then because there weren't a lot of good professional people doing, there were guys trying to be funny out of their basement.
And initially it was audio only?
Audio only for several years, yeah. It took off.
You would invite a friend by on a weekly basis?
It was me, Matt Belknap, and a guy named Mike Schmidt for the first 59 episodes. And then sadly, Mike and I had a falling out.
Would you have a guest on?
Every 4 episodes, we'd have a guest on. But for the most part, it was just the 3 of us, and we would talk, and it went from, I said, I don't want it to be more than a half hour. Nobody wants to hear anybody for more than a half hour. Then it was 45 minutes. Then it was an hour. Then it was 90 minutes. And people liked it.
Yeah.
And after doing 100 episodes, and this is still before other people started doing podcasts. We had done maybe 75, and I said to Matt, I feel like we're doing cable access. I feel like an a-hole that is doing this thing and nobody cares. I said, let's try to make money or let's quit. And
so based on doing it successfully for well over a year,
but I didn't feel
the fact
like it was
that there was
doing
no
anything.
money coming in made you feel, again, that pull from traditional media.
Maybe.
Is, well, if you're so damn good at it,
right,
and everyone thinks it's so damn great.
But I guess I kind of felt like I said cable access, or maybe even an open micer, where it's like at some point I need to be rewarded for this.
Yes.
So, and it's great to get the emails or to be, at the time, in the top 5 of iTunes every week.
Yeah.
Now there's so many, Adam Carollas and yous of the world that, and I charge money. So if I break the top 25, because most of my subscribers are paying.
Right.
But again, I just said I'm either quitting, or we're gonna at least do 1 season of paid. And if one guy pays.
Also, Ricky Gervais was the ultimate model.
Yes.
He offered only 1 season free, like 6 or 12 at most episodes.
Right.
And 200 million downloads later, it hasn't stopped anyone from enjoying that.
I know, right? And we get those same numbers. So knock on wood, it's been really successful, and I every time it's time for a new season or time for people to renew, I admit I go into a little bit of a panic of, are we going to keep our audience?
Right.
Now there's Kevin Pollak, there's Greg Behrendt, there's Chris Hardwick, there's Doug Benson, there's Scott Aukerman, there's all my contemporaries doing these things. Are there still enough people that want to pay for mine when they can get X amount of hours for free? And we now have more paid subscribers than we've ever had. So obviously people like what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah, a big round of applause from those who work on this show in particular.
Did that have anything to do with us, or are they watching something else?
Thank
you, brother.
They're watching the ball game. You just hit a home run. Yeah, I mean, the notion is that the same way that you were ahead of the pack in doing a podcast, you're now ahead of the pack in figuring out how to not lose an audience by charging them a very small nominal fee. Absolutely nothing. Especially considering you're giving them 90 minutes for $1.
Right. 77 cents if you want to break it down even to that.
You just did.
Oh. No, I was asking you. I was asking you.
Right. Well, again. And then of course figuring out the method that actually works.
And
like I said on your show that
which was a wonderful episode.
It was fun.
If your listeners have not seen it, or viewers,
go to Podcast.
Go to Podcast.
Get
and at least download that episode. You don't have to buy into the whole 26 episodes. Although that's your better buck, better bang for the buck.
Your better bang.
Your episode was a lot of fun.
Well, one of the things I said was Andy Warhol was needs to be updated. That in the future everyone will have a podcast.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah. And in that world, it is easy to do a little bit of math here and figure out that the next step is that everyone who's any good will be charging for those podcasts. Stand-up comedy saw a gold rush in the mid-'80s that we talked about.
Right.
And it died in the early 90s, and then the cream rose to the top.
Right.
And people continued to make, forgive me, more than $7,500 for a weekend. Sorry, Rich Scheidner.
Rich wasn't a nobody.
Well, that
was a lot of money for a guy that
no,
wasn't a
extraordinary.
household name.
I was mostly joking.
Yeah. But it was hurtful, and Richie's a good man.
Yeah, he's a great guy,
Yeah.
and a brilliant mind, by the way.
Yes.
One of the great. In fact, I tell Jamie often about this mixtape. Did you ever get one of his mix
No.
tapes? This is back in the days of cassette, and he would make a tape of a great song from, at the time, alternative rock, followed by a clip from a movie, often from the 30s and 40s and 50s, that had something to do with the next song as the lead-in.
Really?
And it was like, wow, that's where your creativity is going during the day when no one's around. This is fantastic.
Right.
Yeah.
That may be why nobody knows his name today.
He
spent too much time with the real. I love Rich Scheidner. I can say Rich was my first paid gig. Not wrong. First guest set at an A club. Rich was the headliner, and so to this day I have this fondness for Rich Scheidner.
Oh, I always, forever and more. All right, so the podcast is going great.
It's going great.
And then a couple of years ago,
Yes, sir.
My understanding is that somewhat out of the blue, you get a phone call saying they'd like to see you over at NBC at the Conan O'Brien offices. Was that somewhat out of the blue?
It was June of 2009. It was 2 weeks before. No, yeah, week and a half before the show went on the air. So it was, May of 2009. My manager got a phone call saying, hey, they want to have a meeting with you over at Conan O'Brien to be the warm-up act. I immediately said no. I have no interest in that. I had done warm-up for Craig Kilborn back in 1999 for about 5 episodes. Wasn't my bag. Didn't like it. Don't like having to keep the energy up. Don't like throwing out the candy. Don't like having to sing along. Don't like anything about warm-up. So
there are those out there that make a profession of it. When they shoot the multi-camera sitcoms, they got to keep the audience there. Sometimes 5, 6, 7, 8 hours.
Yeah. And
talk show is a couple-hour commitment. And
say it again.
A talk show, I'm guessing, was just a couple-hour commitment.
It was a 55-minute.
No, I mean you got to get them going beforehand. And, no?
Not to step on what you're saying, but
you literally came in right before the show started. And then once the show starts, you're done.
I'm done.
I see what you're saying.
So I was actually at a movie. I went to a lot of movies in this part of my life. And I was in a movie when I got that call.
Are you in fact Lee Harvey Oswald?
I am.
Okay.
And I'm going to be shooting somebody later. And so I sat there. I couldn't even enjoy the movie because I had him going, I'm sick of the road. I'm sick of traveling. I kind of had a premonition, weird dream, like how great would it be with Conan O'Brien moving here? I think he and I have similar sensibilities comedically. How great would it be to work with Conan on the new Tonight Show? And this phone call came in. Well, I've got to at least take that meeting. I can't dismiss this out of hand just because it's a warm-up job. So I went in the next day, and Mike Sweeney, the head writer, said I came in angry. And I thought I came in with confidence.
Didn't he come in today angry?
He was very angry.
I'm not happy. So I went into this meeting thinking I'm not going to take it. So I kind of came in with this.
I don't need this job.
I don't need this job, and I'm talking to the guys at the Tonight Show as if they're
chumps.
As if they're chumps, as if I'm doing them the favor by. So Mike says the first thing Mike Sweeney did was he sat down in a beanbag chair that kind of went the wrong way, so that he's laying on the ground, and then he stayed there for the whole interview.
Knowing it was funny?
No, it was funny. And in my head, I just went, well, you got to take this job. It doesn't matter what happens from here on out. Any guy that does that and stays with it,
Yeah.
right? That's a win.
It's about commitment.
So he's like, we'd like to do that. Andy Richter recommended you. Said you're the sharpest, quickest guy working with the audience. We looked at one clip of yours. Conan and I looked at one clip on the internet. Went, that's our guy. Bring him in. So I said, yeah, I'm going to pass. And he was like literally his bugs, his eyes bugged out like it's a 1930s movie. And then he goes, really? Oh, let's go down to the other office. So then we go down to Jeff Ross's office, and a couple of the stage manager and Brian Kiley, one of the writers, was there. And
Jeff Ross, executive producer.
Executive producer, thank you. And then Conan came in, who towers over us. And
I used to ask him to stay seated after he introduced me. Do not stand up.
Do not.
Come out and
stay
shake
over there.
my hand.
I'll come over to you.
Sit the fuck down,
because you come up to his chest. You look like a freak, a monster, an animal.
6'8".
He and then he sat cross-legged on the floor, and may have been the same height as me in a chair. So, but then we're talking, and it was really, really fun.
He's bouncing you on his knee at this point?
It was a puppet act. And so, it was like, wow, this is the fun we're having in this meeting? Who doesn't take this job? So there were 4 test shows. The agreement was at any time, if they didn't like me, I'm gone. If I didn't like the job, I walk away. Nobody's feelings are hurt.
Right.
We'll be friends down the line. I took the job and loved every second of it. I mean, it was the greatest. It was the longest I ever did was 22 minutes because there was a technical problem.
Wow.
And that was long.
Yeah.
That was long. The audience, even when I did 8 to 10, which was the norm, I get as great as I was doing, and some nights were not the greatest. As great on my best nights, I always could feel when they were done with me.
Uh-huh.
Like the audience, like we're there, we're
Yeah.
warmed up.
We actually came for other reasons.
Like, we didn't come to see you and do your little Twitter jokes. Bring out Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
And so it was always like this, and then here we go. And I went on at 4:52, and the show would start at 5:02.
Wow.
And it was clockwork. And then I was done. I didn't have to go out between commercials. None of it.
Holy
it was
crap.
the greatest job in the world.
Yeah.
And I loved it. And and everybody was great. And I say it trickles down from Conan. He's a great guy, great sense of humor, fun guy, and a decent human being.
Absolutely.
And that trickles down on the staff to where everybody was a decent human being to work with.
Well, I've said it before. It'll be worth repeating forever. That I actually think that the decision he made to tell NBC, I'm paraphrasing, to go fuck themselves. He's not going to take the 1205 and all the ramifications that would come from that. And people talk in retrospect, looking back, well, he made all that money. He didn't know what the financial gain or loss was. It was easy to assume there'd be some parachute. But he didn't move to Los Angeles lock, stock, and barrel for a parachute.
Right.
And it was one of the single most bravest decisions and follow-through and executions in a business that never allows those hard decisions.
Right.
You can try to take control of the reins of your career and guide around this and that. But in terms of getting a dream job of that magnitude,
The Tonight Show. Right.
Show, that he had waited after they promised him 5 years, all the things that we all know now through the history of it, and to get to the place where he said, I'm not moving to 1205, which, by the way, him moving to 1205 was the easiest thing to do.
Right.
It was the annoying, frustrating, aggravating, yet you still do it.
Right.
Decision that 999 out of 1,000
Right.
every single time.
Agreed.
And I've always been curious, and we'll eventually get more backstory. But what is? There was a great article a friend of yours wrote for GQ magazine.
Todd Levin, yeah.
Todd Levin wrote a wonderful article about the last days. People should go online. I'm sure they can find this story. Todd
think
Levin,
it is, yeah.
GQ. You remember the name of the article, Jamie? That the guy Todd Levin's his name.
I remember it was in the comedy issue.
The comedy issue,
but
yeah.
I don't remember the name of the article. But
of
that
the Gentleman's
helps.
Quarterly.
Yes, it was the comedy issue of the Gentleman's Quarterly.
Did you have a sense of it, of what was going on? Because he talks about a time when Conan gathered the crew.
It was, I want to say I was at home, and TMZ announced that, the front page, like all of a sudden it showed up on every website, NBC going to give Jay Leno his job back.
Right.
And I'm sitting there like, well, that can't be, what are you talking about?
They got it wrong this time.
Right, they got it wrong. And I called Todd, and I said, I go, what's going on over there? And he goes, it's fucked. This is crazy. TMZ just announced that we're all going to be out of a job. And I go, you don't know anything from your end? He goes, nobody knows anything.
Holy shit.
So everybody was huddled, as Todd says in that article, they were huddled around their computers getting the information from TMZ, even though they're at ground zero.
Right.
They're there.
Nobody
And-
wants to walk down the hall
And go,
and ask Sweeney or Ross or anyone and say, what the fuck is going on?
Well, you know what?
They probably didn't know themselves.
They didn't.
Right.
And so then I remember I was like, oh, geez, I'll find out when I get there. And then Todd called me up and said, hey, Conan's having a meeting in 2 minutes. Can you get here? And I obviously could not. And that meeting was Conan, as that article says, of nothing to worry about. It's rumor. I haven't heard anything. And then that was day one. And then from there it went, okay, it's more than a rumor. Okay, it's happening. Oh my God, this is weird. And the whole vibe of the staff and everything just shifted. And, people were kind of like walking around like zombies. Like, whoa, I just moved from New York.
Because you're doing a show every night.
Yes.
It got to the point where Conan ended up doing some of his most honest, subversive, fuck the man shows towards the end.
Great shows.
But there were
Great.
several
And
shows that took place before those final shows when it was official.
Yes.
Where it was just rumor, and he would come out during the monologue and speak to the rumor.
He would address it a little bit, and then
But then go back to doing the show.
right.
And he might have written it off by saying, we all plan on being here for a very long
That's it.
time. Everything's going to be fine.
Yeah.
But now you're there for the live shows. And now you're there doing warm-up leading up to these live shows. And as these days are becoming a couple of weeks.
As we're getting, I think it was like 22 days between the TMZ, the rumor, and the
exit.
and then January 22nd. So it might have been 17 days. I think that's where the 22 just came into my head. But it was like 17 days. It was like 2 full weeks and like Thursday, Friday of the week before, whatever it would be. That last week, the audiences were just, they were rallying outside.
Well, Team Coco had taken place.
And that's just bananas.
Yeah.
I mean, and so the audiences were filled with people just wanting to be there, and every night was jammed, and they were always jammed, but I mean, just jammed with people that waited hours and hours and hours, like the old days, to come in and
Right.
just, the second I would walk out there, just electric, and then to be there for that very last show, not more than that I am from Sam, where Sam is to me. There's Conan at his desk giving that final, don't be cynical speech.
So great.
So great, right? And just, welling up, and like you're watching a guy deliver this speech. He's lost his dream.
Yeah.
And he's being a gentleman about it, and telling other people, don't be cynical about this. It's a talk show. I've had it pretty good.
Right.
To be that close to that was really, to be a part of television history.
Indeed.
Was great, and to watch this man who every day came in and said, let's put on the funniest show we can.
Right.
And I'm proud. I mean, it's weird to say, but I'm proud to have been a part of that. I'm proud to
You should be.
had become friends with Conan, and be able to be an ear of support. 1 or 2 times during it. Not long, certainly. He's got closer people, but it was insane.
Yeah.
It was surreal. I mean, it's an overused word, but it was to be at home and looking on a computer. Hey, you're out of a job, and then go to that job.
Right. Yeah.
Weird, because Jay Leno wanted his back.
I talked about the end result of the explanation that people were still searching for as to how these idiots could come to this. It's old news at this point that there was such a finances behind their decision. How shocking that factored into it.
Yeah.
It's a lot of things are still up in the air about November and what's going to come of the new Conan O'Brien talk show. A lot of the writers don't even know if they're hired back. I can't imagine you've gotten the word yet because, again, these decisions are still up in the air.
I don't know the answer.
Or whether you want to continue.
Oh, I will.
It ended up being too great of a thing.
I loved it.
Yeah.
It was somebody described it as somebody in the Conan world said, "You have the greatest day job in the world." I'm like, "Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. I can still do stand-up comedy. I can still pursue, acting roles, television roles, and the one I get a year, and and do my shows at the UCB and all that, and
Yeah.
I show up
And be home with your family.
and be home with my family, and I get to show up and work. Hopefully, I mean, I can only imagine the show's gonna be better come November. But I'm on the Tonight Show.
Yeah.
As a kid, it was my dream to host it, and I know it's maudlin, but every night I got to go out for 8 to 10 minutes on the Tonight Show stage and be funny.
Yeah.
If I'm not hosting, that's a pretty damn close second. You
Hell
know what
yeah,
I mean?
it is.
And so I will be honored if you ask me to return to that job.
Well, we look forward to that celebration, sir.
Yeah,
honest to goodness. You also host UCB and a couple of handful, maybe more, maybe several handfuls of live versions of the Match Game.
Well, we don't do anymore. We did.
Right.
Yeah.
For a while, and then I guess somebody within some organization that has some sort of ownership over the name, the Match Game, said maybe you don't want to do this.
Yeah, maybe you'd shut that down. Then we changed the name, and
the not so Match
they still
Game?
weren't happy with that idea.
Well, you've been kind enough to participate in the Tweet 5. I
Yes.
know you're not on the Twitter. I know
Right.
it's a hobby of yours, as it is so many people, to make fun of the Twitter.
I don't make fun of it as much as I used to, because I've seen Twitter used for good. I know that sounds crazy.
Saves lives? No, actually, it's a way of gathering donations. No question about it, and changing people's lives at this point.
I think it is.
Yeah. But then there's still those fabulous bobblehead celebs that insist on sharing what they had for breakfast.
Right.
Which is why we created a show we like to call Who tweeted?
I'm in.
That's right, it's who tweeted. Roll the intro if we have one.
Sammy,
Roll
step
an
right
intro.
over.
We don't have an intro.
We're changing.
Oh, there
we're
you go.
changing the opening graphic to reflect the new title.
The new title,
of
which
Who
is
Tweeted.
simply Who Tweeted with me, your host, Sam Levine. Very nice to meet you.
My pleasure. We've met, Sam.
Have we? Not?
Yeah,
Are
you've
you
done.
sure?
You've done my show.
Oh. I'm sorry, I have no recollection.
What
of that.
world do we live in, by the way, that Sam Levine was on my podcast before Kevin Pollak? What world are we in?
A nightmarish
All right, very good.
future.
What have you got there, Sammy?
Well, this is the game we call Who Tweeted.
Uh-huh.
And this will be the very first time it is the Gaga, Spears, or Kutcher edition.
So I just so that I'm clear,
Yep.
it'll be one of those three.
That is correct. It can only be one of those three.
Do I buzz in?
Yes.
Jamie, you want
Here's
to
how it's
chime in?
gonna work.
Jamie?
They're the most followed. They're the top
Oh,
three.
they're
The reason they were
Most
chosen.
followed
Okay.
edition. It says it
Yes.
right there on the top of my page. Did not read it.
Those are the top three. They have the most number of followers.
Most number of followers.
If I may.
Yes, sir.
Isn't somebody else qualified to be keeping score?
I like to keep my own, just so I'm aware and I can help.
You always do. You go to a ball game. You also like to keep score up in the stands.
I'm doing the box scores for the Giants right now.
Not to worry, I will also be keeping score right at the bottom of the page there.
All right, good.
There
So
will be
this is
no
really
errors.
just a.
This is just for me. He got the official tab.
He's just showing off.
I like
now I
to
feel
put
bad that
some
I'm not
pressure
keeping
out.
score. I'm
All
going to
right.
keep score on my fingers.
Sammy,
Here's how it works. I'm going to read a series of 8 tweets,
one at a time.
one at a time. After each tweet, you guys are going to ring in. First person to ring in, I'll point to, and you ring in by saying your own
I'm
name.
going to move this so that you don't hit it.
Good call. Because I can't tell your voices apart ever.
You ring in by saying your own
Ring
name.
in by saying, you'd say you go, Jimmy. And then you have 3 seconds, Jimmy, to say either Gaga, Britney, or Ashton.
Gaga, Brittany, Ashton. Got it.
Okay? And
Does
then,
Kevin have the same rules?
Kevin has
Yes.
the same rules. And you ring and you get it right, you're going to get yourself 5 points. You ring and you get it wrong, you're going to lose 3. Yeah, arbitrary, right? Now, if someone
There
rings
should be
in,
a penalty for being wrong. Is
I
how
don't
we
disagree
play.
with that.
if you ring in and you get it wrong, that's it. We move on. There's no, you can't. The other person cannot re-guess. So
Say it again. So I cannot steal a point.
no,
No.
you cannot steal a point.
Go right ahead.
We just move on.
Bring it on.
All right.
Go.
Now we're not playing for kicks here.
We're not.
Nope. It's
There's
not
something
just
at
for fun.
stake?
There is actually
What could that
something
be?
at stake.
What are we playing for?
That very loud man you
Calcanis
heard
coins?
out
Tell me
there.
it's a DVD.
That very loud gentleman you heard out there, Jason Calcanis, the proprietor of this mahalo.
Yes.
Studios.
He just leaves these laying around.
$20.
A crisp, clean $20 bill. Not a single trace of cocaine on that one.
I'm not even sure how that factored in, but all right.
I check all 20s for cocaine.
1991 all of a sudden. Okay.
So here we are.
He's got his little spiel, and you still had a shit on it for no reason. He was so proud of his cocaine thing, and you had to kick him in the balls. Go on.
This is what we love.
All right. We kid because we
Here we
love?
go. Tweet number 1. Sounds like you all have some great plans.
Jimmy.
Chilling, but
Oh, there's more. I apologize.
it's all right. It's all right. You can ring in early.
Go ahead. You got it.
I'm going to say Brittany.
That is correct.
Yeah,
That is
100%,
correct.
y'all.
The y'all.
Y'all.
The y'all.
Give it
It's
away.
the y'all, give it away.
I apologize for not
No,
letting you
it's
finish.
quite all right.
I
But,
think it's great that you got in there 3 words into it.
I want you to know something. I always do the easiest one first so that you can get the hang of it.
Get tougher.
They get a lot tougher.
Hopefully they won't have the word y'all in it.
That is the only y'all
Okay.
on the page. Here we go. Tweet number 2.
Number 2.
There should be a word that defines that feeling of coming home after being gone for a while. It's so nice.
Kevin, Gaga.
Sorry, no.
No, incorrect.
That's Ashton.
That is Ashton.
Yeah.
Nicely done.
Yeah.
Jimmy James Pardo.
All right.
Tweet number 3. It's heating up. Just got home. Flew on V Australia. I think these planes might be the most comfortable planes I have ever been on.
Jimmy, that's me.
It's you.
I'm going to go with Ashton again. No?
Sorry. Shockingly. That is Britney Spears.
Brittany. She does like a comfortable
Shocking,
seat.
right?
I should have known
Like
that.
a comfortable seat.
Right?
Should have known that.
Is that not insanity? All right.
When
so,
she's not shaving her noggin, she enjoys a comfortable chair. Copy. All right. Tweet number 4.
Tweet number 4. Watching television show Intervention on A&E.
Kevin, Gaga.
That's correct.
That's all I'm going to say, by the way, the rest of the game.
Kevin Gaga.
It is now all tied up.
We
It's
are
anyone's
indeed.
game.
It is, yeah. Kevin's at +2, as are you, my friend.
Okay, look at that. Oh, a little flippy flop. I see what happened.
Yeah, a little flip and flop. Easy to follow.
Sure it is. Because 1 and then minus 1 would have been difficult.
Now it's a 4 question. contest
I understand what's
instead of an
happening.
8 question.
I get
It's a
it.
whole new ballgame.
We're halfway there.
Cut it in half.
A whole new ballgame. Tweet number 5. I just kicked my ass in the gym. Time to wash it down with an ice-cold New York beer.
Jimmy, I'm going to go with Ashton.
Correct.
Oh.
No.
Is it Gaga?
Got both of us.
Gaga.
It's Gaga.
Gaga.
It's Gaga. You got to say Kevin Gaga.
I knew
Have
it.
you not learned it? No, I'm kidding. I would have said Ashton.
Yeah.
All right. I have eked ahead.
Ever so slightly.
Unfairly.
I don't
Ever so
like
slightly.
this. You know I don't like it.
Tweet number 6.
Huh?
I think I injured my brain last night, and I can't seem to find my voice.
Kevin Gaga.
That's Brittany.
It is a tie game again. That was Ashton, ladies and gentlemen. These are tough.
He's tied
These are tough. It is tied up at -1.
Two.
For the
We're
record.
smoking it. This is a
For
good
the
one.
record.
I wish we could do more of these.
Oh, this is great. This is so much fun. Tweet number 7.
2 remaining. I've never been more tense over nothing in my entire life.
Wow! Number 1 on Twitter. Thank you.
Jimmy.
Tweet me some questions this morning.
Jimmy Gaga, because she went to number 1.
Well, they all had number 1.
Oh,
I'm so sorry.
failed.
It could have been any of them because they were all number
Yes,
We're
one.
all
we know
number
that
1
now,
for points.
You see what's happening here? Let me explain it again.
Oh, it's Brittany.
That's Brittany.
Okay.
It was
Now,
Brittany. Now that's all right. Doesn't make a difference.
okay, it's now -3 to -4 to -1.
That's correct.
So
Wait, what?
if it's -4 to -1, if I let him answer, if he's correct, he wins. If he's not, he's behind as he is already because it's -4 to -1.
But if, but if you miss it, we're tied.
That's
You
correct.
answer and miss it, we're tied, and we
yeah.
go to the tiebreaker.
That's right.
Which I'm betting money. This 20, he doesn't have a tiebreaker question, so we walk away
Wow.
even.
Wow, look at Sammy. His head's
That's
on
money. I
fire.
have no tiebreaker question.
Oh, you don't?
That's money. I have no tiebreaker question.
Oh,
Let me tell you something,
I
sir.
know you do, Sam.
Tell you something, sir. I've been watching you at the UCB Theater for years now.
Yes.
If anything,
Years.
If anything,
I have been fortunate enough to be a part of the great shows you do there.
I know you were.
And what have I learned? What have I learned in all that?
Always have a backup plan.
No material. You can go so far on no material
That's hurtful.
and always
hurtful.
have a tiebreaker.
that's hurtful. All right.
Those two things.
So you're behind and a speech, as they say in poker parlance. You're behind and a speech.
All right, so
All right. So if you
Here
get
it is.
one right,
If you get it right,
You win.
You're a winner.
yeah.
but strategy tells me not to even answer.
Well, if I get it right,
If he gets it, but he has to get it wrong. Then,
strategy
and then you've gotta
tells
get the
me
tiebreaker.
not to answer
Oh, you want to have a
because I
face-off.
can't lose.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Yes, I can lose.
You gentlemen can sit there and quietly decide
Okay.
whether or not you want to answer this.
Who are we
Here it
kidding?
is.
We're both going to compete.
Tweet number 8.
Go.
Hate it when I show up at a party and someone is wearing the same outfit.
Kevin, Brittany, can't be Gaga, and it can't be Ashton. Can't be. Mathematically, it's Brittany.
I think it's Ashton, and that's why it's a trick question. But you answered, and I didn't.
It is, in fact, Ashton. We have a tie game. It is a tie game, ladies and gentlemen.
I should have answered. I let you fail.
Wow.
I think this is one of the, maybe only one other time in 60-some shows that we've had a face-off.
A face-off on the tweet-off?
Yeah. Face-off.
I don't know what that was.
Face-off.
All right. This is it.
This is it.
We both insist
Sudden
on using
death.
the 20 as a prop. We both insist at some point of fiddling with it.
This is it.
All
Ring
right.
in, get it right, you win. Ring in, get it right, or get it wrong, you lose.
Sudden death.
Sudden death.
I'm buzzering it.
A couple ways to win it. Here we go.
Listening.
So happy. Today is a great day for love and equality. Congrats, California.
Jim.
Gaga! Because she has gay fans.
Oh no, I'm so sorry.
It's
Britney Spears.
she doesn't.
I know. I was as shocked as you are.
Gaga because she has gay fans?
Well,
That's how you go out?
Yes. Take your 20.
Well, that's how you play. Who tweeted most followed edition.
Thank you, Sammy.
The winner, Kevin Pollak. Better
Oh,
luck
Sam,
next
I
time.
enjoyed myself.
Oh, I'm so
Special
glad.
thanks
I'm so
to
glad.
Jamie Foxx for putting together tonight's game as she does each and every week. Tonight's special edition, Who Tweeted?
Good job, Jamie.
Oh, thank you, darling. You're a fine lass.
Wait a minute, Jamie Foxx, is she?
African American with an Oscar? No.
It's not her.
No,
You want to
no.
know what the number one thing that people always say to me when they hear my real name?
Yes.
You really did deserve that Oscar. Because that's really clever.
Oh, God.
Get it? Get it?
Oh, because you're a lady playing
And
a
I'm
gentleman,
white, and another
playing
black
another
man.
gentleman.
Yeah, exactly.
You're so. I'm the man behind the man. Yeah, we've seen the bit.
Yeah, we've seen the bit. Like, you're sick of it. She said 3 words this entire show. Yeah, we've seen the bit. Good enough.
No, I meant
They
that
don't
we've.
really let me speak.
I meant we've seen the bit in the movie Tropic Thunder where he says, "I'm the man behind the man."
right.
I can't thank you enough.
My joy, my pleasure.
A through Z. Can't thank you enough. 2, also for setting the bar ridiculously high for those of us who care about doing our own podcasts. There are 10,000 or more to choose from. Got to be 100,000 by now, right?
I would imagine.
So to set such a example,
Wow, thank
honestly, week after week, and having done your show now, I said to Jamie in preparation for this that things were going to be so much more serious compared to the nothing but fun that I just had at your place. Go to podcast.com, do yourself a favor, sign up, subscribe. You will not be sorry ever. If you are, give us an email here and I'll personally pay you back. With that, I will ask you to look into that camera.
Wait, hang on a second.
When you're ready.
It's
I just gave them a money back guarantee.
I know you did, but now I think that you're gonna have to shell out some money just to
I'm coming to
people
you.
to prove a point.
I'm coming
all
to
right.
you. I'm coming to you.
I'm not giving any money back. Thank you. That was very kind of you. I didn't, and this was fun. This was great fun.
It was great fun, and I knew it would be, but I just meant the sort of sense of...
It's not. It's you take an interest in the guest. I just want
Your research was on a piece of yellow...
that I just threw away. I think maybe this trash can here because I'm wearing the same jeans I was wearing yesterday. But yeah,
honestly,
yes,
though.
I had a great time then, and I did today. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much
Now what
for
do I
being
do?
here. We're looking for your Larry King game, and I will tell you there are 3 things we're looking for.
Yes.
We want really that moment that Larry decides to share something about himself on the air that none of us needed to know. That's really the moment that we're asking you to enact. When doing so, 3 things to keep in mind. We actually want a bad Larry King impression.
Okay,
No pressure
Got it.
to do a good one. That's the reason for that rule. Then we want you to act out that moment where Larry shares something that we don't want to know. And then the final thing, if you can, when you go to the phones, if the name of the city is funny sounding, might be the icing on the cake.
Here we go.
Take your time, fire when ready.
Nothing better than painting a room with Jonathan Lipnicki. Ypsilanti, Michigan, you're on the air.
No more calls, pencils down, we've got a winner. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Oh, so lovely.
Fun.
Lastly, sit there uncomfortably while I say goodbye to the folks. Jimmy Pardo, the name, podcast.com is where you want to go. JimmyPardo.com is where you want to go to maybe to check out some live dates and then follow all the news as to his future and the future of his success. Happy Labor Day to each and every one of you. Hope you've had a good time. If you're watching us after the fact, check our calendar for upcoming shows. Bryan Cranston made some TV history a while back, just less than a couple of weeks by becoming only the 2nd actor, we believe. I'm sure we'll be corrected between now and then. Only the 2nd actor to win Best Lead Actor in a Drama, Emmy, 3 years in a row. The other one, any idea, Sammy?
Boy.
If you got this, I would literally give you a brand new car. And when I say that, I mean those little HO cars they put on a track.
How about... Ooh, this is a good one. Abe Vigoda.
Perfect. Lead actor.
Yep.
In a drama.
Yep. That's the one.
Bill Cosby, I Spy. No one could have possibly got it, so I went ahead and said it. We had to go on Google to find out, and in fact, your producer, Dan, intern Dan, the often attempted to be fired intern Dan, I looked it up while I was doing the show. That's the facts as we believe them. Please correct us at contact@kevinpollackschatshow.com. Brian Cranston, Jason Alexander, Joel McHale, some great folks. Fred Willard, hero of mine. Leonard Maltin, Allison Janney, we're now excited about joining the ranks. Look at the calendar, find out who's coming. In the meantime, I want to thank everyone for coming in here today and doing such a bang-up job. The crew, of course, is who I'm referring to, who, by the way, over the last, hour 45, I'm assuming has been up to something that I'm not aware of. If only there were some visual aid, some sort of documented proof of what they've been up to. Someone's trying to start a barbecue.
Oh, looks like
he's got some bacon.
cooking some food up for the.
He's got some. That match didn't work. Let me try something else. It's like going to a Charlie Chaplin film. Maybe this match will work. Nope.
No, that didn't work.
The hell with that. But I do love that he tried two. I'm going to go ahead and use my...
Oh, dear.
But
he's fine.
What a nice little payoff with the smoke in the mouth. That means the whole time he's doing this, he had smoke in his mouth.
Yep.
Oh, I love the commitment. I love every square inch of that gag. And I want to thank the crew for the effort therein. Emily Goodwin, we missed you. You were in New York proving your talent to others. Good luck with those efforts to gain employment besides what you get here. That's my way of being upset when someone who works for me goes off to work for another. It's not important. We'll see you next time. However you do, and always, until next time, get out of my face.